Just one big learning curve, isn't it, golf? Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Sunday morning show. Exciting times are ahead, I think, for Paul Waring and Alex Evans. I don't know if any of you saw last week, but Paul Waring won for the second time on the DP World Tour. He won a tournament, and not only did he win a tournament, he won it in style, but he won a Rolex Series event, which has given him an opportunity to become a PGA Tour player. Isn't it funny that the DP World Tour give away their top 10 players every year to the PGA Tour? I don't know about you guys, but I was glued to the TV. Now, for those of you that don't know, Alex Evans, who is Paul Waring's caddy, is a very good friend of mine. We went to university together over in America, and he was a couple of years below me. I recruited him in to help with our golf team at the time because I was one of the captains, and we became really close friends. He is based up in the Wirral, up in Liverpool, plays at Bromborough, but he's been out caddying for Paul Waring now, who was one of his closest friends, for about 2 or 3 seasons, something along those lines. And I keep in touch with Al quite a bit, and he said that Paul has been on that cusp for some time now of actually putting a score together. Hasn't quite driven it well enough one week and maybe not putted so well the next week, but he's got it over the line, and he got it over the line in style. I don't know about you guys, but I kind of lost my way a little bit with the DP World Tour. I just not finding myself watching it as much as probably what I used to, and therefore kind of just not keeping in touch with it. However, I do keep in touch with Al about it, and I do also just keep an eye on Paul's scores to see how he's doing week after week. So to see him now get across that line and progress his journey on is just enormous. I know it's big for Paul, but it's also enormous for Alex. And my plan is to catch up with Al. I've actually had a bit of a conversation with him on the phone, just sort of talking through some of the things that actually happened in that event, the things that Paul was doing really well, but I also found out a little bit about the after party, and it was quite evident from the conversation that Al had a good time. He had a bit of a hangover. Now, a couple of you last week picked up on the fact that I was using a slightly different putter in the Sunday morning show, and I got to say, I've put this one in the bag for a little while. It's the Spider Tour V, which is tailor-made. It's got that little tiny neck on it, which allows us to get a little bit more what we call toe flow. So the putter hangs just like my Scotty Cameron would hang. It's not face balance, which some of them come at face balance. I don't get on well with those. I generally pull them. So I've just put it in the bag because I just wanted something with a little bit more MOI, just to try. I also had the idea of going into like a 2-thumb grip, which you would have seen from last week's Sunday show as well, and this one being slightly thicker. Again, I'm just testing. I have actually put it into play in a couple of break pass series that we've done. Wouldn't say that I've putted any better or any worse, but I just wanted to give it a little go. And so those of you that have spotted that, well done for spotting it. But yes, it's not definitely in the bag forever. It's just I wanted to give it a whirl on the golf course. Now, talking about golf courses, I thought we would catch up today with Jason Brooks. And Jason Brooks was head greenkeeper for me when I worked at Torquay Golf Club. When I say for me, I mean I was the general manager there. So we got him in as the course manager, and then he took over and made it fantastic. So he's moved on to Stover. They're having a huge rebuild over there, and some of you will have seen that already from the Sunday morning show. But for those of you that are new, he's basically been redoing 9 holes on their golf course, a complete rebuild. So I thought today we'd go and catch up with him, which is now like phase 4, and see what he's been up to over at Stover Golf Club. Well, here we go again then, Jace.
Welcome back.
At Stover, and that looks like a new green that has gone in there.
Yes, this is the new 7th.
Okay.
This is what we were discussing last time you were in, that it was going to happen.
Yep.
And it's finished now, yeah. So
you've been shaped, it's been done. The actual contours of the green are in position, everything is there.
It's all seeded.
Wow. Doesn't take long, does it? Well, it feels like that's to you, but for me, it just like I was here 1 minute and then I'm back, and then it's all done and dusted.
It took about probably 3 weeks from start to finish.
Yeah.
We were a bit hampered with the weather. We had to do the tee as well, and there was a lot of tree removal.
Right.
That took a week. So in all, about 6 weeks total.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the weather's cleared up, and we haven't got it all seeded.
Yeah, it's nice and dry, isn't it? It's dry underfoot. You can see that the actual area is dry,
Yeah.
which is good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Easier to work with, easier to manage.
Oh goodness, yeah, it was tough to start with. It was slopping around in the mud to start with.
Yeah. It actually looks a lot bigger than I was when you were talking about it.
25% bigger than
the original green.
Original green,
oh,
yeah.
Wow, okay.
It's deeper.
Right.
The other one was quite narrow.
It's almost
wasn't
like
it?
you've changed the direction of the green. It kind of moves. It used to move kind of from this way, from front left to back right, and now you've kind of created it in line
it's
with
gone
that
back
tee-box
about
a little bit.
It's probably gone back about 10-15 yards further back than where it used to sit.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's got some different levels on it. I mean, in theory, like, it's 25% bigger. The trees have been cleared.
Yeah.
You've got more chance to hit it.
Yeah.
But it is quite slopey. So once you get on it, there's going to be some interesting parts. Yeah.
So with the tree removed, I mean, I see literally one tree that is not that big, really. I mean, it's not overhanging the green, is it? Is that going to give you a little bit more light in there?
Yeah,
Does that help?
There was 4 there before we started.
Right.
And they all blocked the sort of morning sun which came up from that direction.
Okay.
And literally didn't receive any sunlight for a good while during the day, which caused issues. So we removed a few. When we were digging it up, we saw the roots were like probably 40 foot into the centre of the green. They were sucking the life out of it.
Wow.
So yeah, you just, trees and grass, they don't go.
Okay.
You know, they're both competing for the same light, nutrients, water. So you know, you've got to try and explain that sometimes to people who get a bit precious about trees, that it's detrimental for grass. So if you can remove some, it's going to help.
And then with this particular green, was it a struggling green? Like, was it noticeably different compared to the other greens out on the golf course?
Yeah, it did struggle, yeah.
Did it?
Yeah, it was sort of, when it got dry, it really got dry because the trees were sucking the life out of it. Yeah. And it got disease, and it wasn't a great green. So it was a good one to remove.
Deal
really,
with.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of digging out of roots and things like that in the middle of that green then?
Yeah, surprising amount, you know.
So who's designed the actual green? Is that you designed it, or is that the actual architects come
That's Simon Goodman again, who's done the other
other
changes.
part of the golf course?
Yeah, all the phases. He came back in and did this one on its own.
And has it got some slope in it? So it looks like it's pitched from back to front quite a bit.
It's got a lower level which sort of then climbs up to a middle layer, and then it falls away slightly.
Okay.
So there's a back pin which goes away from you. So it's a
sneaky
tricky one.
pin.
It's a tricky one, yeah.
That's very similar to what I want to call like the 5th or 4th hole, the par 3 there. You know, there's subtle breaks. There's that back right pin that you've got. Is that the new par 3 out there?
4th, yeah.
4th.
Yeah, this is probably...
It kind of feels like it's in keeping with that though.
Yeah, it's got probably more pin positions than that one.
Right.
But the back pin is probably the tricky one. You know, he wanted a tricky one because it's only 130, 120. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how people get on with that.
This is take 2 of this pit in the office, and the reason why this is take 2 is because I've just filmed the whole thing without any audio. It does happen from time to time. However, you may have noticed from the video that we've just been playing with Jason is the audio was getting a little bit dodgy. Certainly it was coming out of one ear, and that's because the wire, it broke. So we lost the audio from one side of the headphone, should we say. So, giving you a bit of a summary, fantastic to see what Jason's done. I didn't want to drag him back over to Stover and reshoot some of that because it's his week off, and I didn't want to interfere his week off that we've already dragged him in for. So what we didn't see there is that they created this whole new teeing ground. You would have seen from the previous video that I'd done that the teeing ground was relatively small and had a massive, well, let's call it a Mackenzie in the middle of that tee. And this was causing him a massive issue. They had to put a mat in position to be able to cope with the traffic that was going through there. So they've put in this whole new tee, re-leveled it, relayed it into a position that is now going to be able to manage the amount of wear and tear. He thinks there may be a mat going in at some point, but they just need to assess how well they get on with their wear and tear on it. But huge complex, maxing out about 130 yards. So you're going to see lots of wedges coming out of that new teeing ground. And then you could see the work that the guys were doing on the new 3 bunkers that they've put in around that green. Well, this is kind of like a resin rubber crumb that they're putting in, which allows that water to be able to really seep through the sand and then get into the drainage system down below. And then that green complex, as Jason's already said, I think it's going to really flow nicely in with the rest of the golf course that they've created, certainly on those front few holes there. Speaking to some of the members at Stover, they are over the moon with how their golf course is looking, and rightly so. Always good to catch up with Jason to show what he's been up to on his golf course. But let's see what we're up to next. What's next? Well, I don't think that it would be right to not have a Sunday show without a small tip for you. Now, if you're somebody that hooks the ball, it's generally because you've got that club face turning down through impact. And what I mean by that is when that ball starts to move from right to left a little bit for you, it's because your path and your face are not aligned properly. Let's take out of the equation the fact that you could hit it in the toe and gear effect could kick in and really turn it over. But with all things being, let's say, neutral, if you've got that path going into out or even dead straight or out to in, if that face is close to that path, it's going to want to hook in the air. You're going to put a spin axis on the ball that's going to make it go to the left-hand side. So a trick that I use to eliminate the left-hand side. So if we've got like out of bounds or there's a lot of trouble down the left-hand side and I'm really trying to hit, let's say, a fade, I'm trying to keep that face from wanting to rotate too much through that impact zone, or certainly in the downswing coming down into the golf ball. So what I do is I use my grip, and I talked about this in last week's Sunday show with grip pressure with putting, where you can use your left thumb to be able to manage that face a little bit. And what happens is if I get that club in the right position and get my hand in the right position, and then I feel like I just stretch my thumb, left thumb, glove thumb, down the actual middle of that shaft there on top there, that kind of creates a little bit of tension in my left forearm, just like that. So that's my kind of normal position. But then if I want to stretch it down, I just feel like I lengthen this thumb down that grip there. And then by getting that tension in that left forearm, it'll stop that wanting to kind of flip over on me too much. So it means that I could just be confident that that face is going to stay a little bit more open than normal as I come through that impact zone. So I'm not going to do anything different, let's say, with my golf swing. I'm going to just feel like I can still aim down the center of that fairway, but by stretching that thumb down, I can already feel the tension in this sort of left forearm here. Swing it as normal as possible. Club face should stay pretty neutral, and hit that fade. That's probably a little bit of an overturn, but for you guys out there that generally hook that golf ball or get it moving a little bit left, going left, then give it a try. It's definitely going to try and eliminate that left side of the golf course and just get that club face to square up just a little bit easier. Give the Sunday morning show a wave, Harold. Well, I'm still here. I'm still working on my putting. Hope you enjoyed the little catch up with Jason. Always good to catch up with him. I hope you enjoyed that tip for all you hookers out there. Give you something to think about, certainly in the winter, because it's always nice to have something to focus on in the winter. I hope this week you've enjoyed as well Dinard. For those of you that have not actually got a chance to see Dinard, it is one of my favourite golf courses. It's certainly my favourite golf course in France, but one of my favourite golf courses worldwide. And hopefully it also gave you a little bit of an insight into what we kind of get up to when we're going away and doing our bus tour trips. To feature the guys on there from the bus tour was great, and I've had some great feedback from those guys. If you are watching this, thank you so much for coming along on our bus tour. We absolutely had a blast. We had an amazing 3 days. We got a little bit wet the first day, but an amazing couple of days after there at St. Cat, which you've already seen our little break pass series there of a shambles. And then to shoot 3 over around Dinard, not going to lie, I wasn't feeling great, if I'm honest. Probably a few too many red wines, but there we go. It was a fantastic trip, and one of which I hope some of you will get a chance to come and join us at some point someday on another trip like that. If you are new to the channel, make sure you try and hit that subscribe button. We are, I think by the time this video comes out, we are less than 150 subscribers away from getting to that 50,000 subscriber mark. And if you are returning, then please double check that you are subscribed. It makes all the difference, certainly for the support of this channel moving into 2025. This week, I'm heading over to Costa Navarino in Greece. I've never been. I'm really looking forward to this trip because it's a venue that I've only heard positive things about. If you've been over there, just drop down in the comments what you think of it. I've got a little pro-am. Don't know what it entails. I don't know what I'll be up to when I'm out there. I think I've got 3 rounds of golf. I'm going to try and get some filming done the first day we get there as well, which will be something slightly different. But we'll see. Thank you very much for watching the Sunday morning show. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you next week on the channel.